Oh, nectar of the gods. Morning, guys. I'm the Tech Prepper. Hope you're all doing well. I have been sick for 2 weeks, so apologies for the delay in video, and there may be some more editing than usual so I don't cough on camera. So we're going to make this quick today, hopefully. We're going to talk about the Yaesu FT-60R and why I think it is the perfect prepper radio, in my opinion, based on my experience using it. Now, the way that I look at the radios you want to have in your fleet are to essentially have standardization and ease of use, good price points so you can actually outfit a number of these. And I think this FT-60R meets all of that criteria. So this is a dual band amateur radio. It covers the 2-meter band and the 440 band, and actually has pretty wide receive outside of that. It can't transmit outside of those bands without a modification. We're going to talk about that at the end of this video, so stick around and let's get right to it. So I've had this radio now for about 2 years, and it has been my daily carry for all of my runs and adventures in the backcountry. So I have almost 2,000 miles with this radio alone in the backcountry in the Sonoran Desert, and it is still in great shape. So let's start first with the price point. This radio goes for about $150 brand new. It's still in Yaesu's active lineup, which is amazing. On the secondary market, you can pick these up for $80 to $100 in good condition. And whenever I see those deals, I try to buy one. So I will continue to collect these at that price point. And I consider this to be the Glock 19 of HTs. It's not fancy. It's a very simple to use, rugged, proven HT. In fact, this HT came out in 2004. We're in 2022 right now, and this is still largely unmodified from that original version. So not many radios can actually say that they've been in an active lineup for close to 20 years. So that also tells me that this radio is proven, and that's actually one of the main reasons why I bought it. So let's take a look at some of the accessories that I've run with this. We're also going to talk about some modifications I've done and some things that work well and a handful of things that don't work great, but I've got some solutions. So the first thing I like to do with the FT-60R is change out the antenna. And you'll notice here that the FT-60R actually has an SMA connector. And that's a fairly brittle connection point, but that's not the only reason I opted to use a SMA to BNC connector. So in keeping with preps, the reason why I have a BNC connector is that all of my Manpack radios, in fact, all of my radios, even the Baofengs, have a BNC connector, which means I can share this whip antenna with all of my radios. Even the antennas that are mounted on my roof, I can run the coax to this and be able to have interoperability with all of my feed line against all of my radios. So that would be my first pick, is basically the SMA to BNC connector. The second one is this antenna, and this is not sponsored. I paid for all of these. I have about 4 or 5 of these, and this is the Comet BNC24 antenna. And the great thing about this is that it is capable of doing 20 watts. While this only does 5 watts, my Manpacks, I can run 20 watts off of this without damaging the antenna. And it also collapses on itself for easy storage. So Comet BNC24 is my second pick. All right, so continuing with accessories, this is a fairly new accessory that did not work out for me in the beginning, and it is a hand mic. I purchased this for an event that I was working, a public service event, just so that I would be able to have the mic basically secured to my chest rig and be able to have the speaker at ear level. What I found out really quickly was there's a problem with the FT-60R when you insert the any hand mic. If this backs out even a little bit, what ends up happening is it'll engage the PTT, so it will wear out your battery, probably kill the radio if the timeout timer isn't there, and will probably also time out the repeater. And the solution that most people have done is secure it with a rubber band, and I always thought that was kind of ghetto. So I abandoned that until we're going to jump to another accessory. I paired it with something that you probably haven't seen, and this is the high-speed gear taco, the double-decker taco. And I found that if I modify this, it actually allows me to have a really secure connection, but also puts the bungee right over the side. So if I go ahead and put this connector back in, it's not going anywhere. So now on my chest rig, I quite literally run this with a quick disconnect molly strip, and then have this running on the other side. And this has the added benefit now if I get better audio, because the speaker is not hidden by the enclosure of the case. It's easy for me to engage the PTT with my left hand. And I have been doing trail runs, not this last week, but prior to it, at about 5 or 6 miles an hour for over an hour period. And this connection has not come loose, and it's absolutely a game changer. Prior to using, before I tell you what I was using before this, you'll notice that on the double-decker taco, there are these plastic clips on the side, or retainers. I actually cut mine off on this side so that I could run this system. So it's expensive to go this route, but I had this already, and it felt like a worthwhile modification. All right, so let's talk about the pouch that I'm not running anymore, and this is the Spectre Gear FT-60R pouch. And it's a fine pouch. I've used it for over a year. It has molly on the back, secures the radio just fine on my chest rig. The only problem is that when it's in the pouch, you don't have access to the DC charging port or the 3.5 millimeter audio jack. So for that reason, I found that running my kit with the external hand mic suited me better. So I'm opting towards my MacGyvered HSGI taco kind of modification. All right, so radios won't last forever without batteries. So one of the things that I look for is the availability and the cost of additional batteries. So my rule of thumb is I typically try to have at least 3 batteries per radio. So again, using the Glock 19 analogy, these are my magazines, and the more mags I have, the longer I can run in the field. The stock batteries are 1400 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride. The only problem with these is that they are very slow to field charge. So I've got some options other than carrying a boatload of these batteries. All right, so this is my everyday carry kit. This goes in my EDC bag, and it is another Yaesu FT-60R with another estimated BNC connector. And this one I've been evaluating a AA tray. So what's cool about this is that this is a Yaesu part. It is a 6 AA battery tray, and I have outfitted it with lithium-ion batteries that are field rechargeable. And I did a video on these pale blue earth batteries. I do have some issues with them. They don't seem to draw consistently across all of the cells, but I am able to get very similar run times that I saw with the nickel metal hydride, that 14 to like 17 hour range, which is amazing. And there's nothing to stop you from also having belt and suspenders and running some more alkaline traditional AA batteries. So between a few of these nickel metal hydride batteries, the AAA battery pack, lithium ion batteries, and alkaline, I'm all set. All right, so let's talk about something that California screwed the pooch on. So prior to 2013, California thought it was a good idea to legislate how long a device could be powered after it was sufficiently charged. And in 2013, almost every electronic manufacturer, for the most part, was required to have auto shut-off chargers. And Yaesu changed the internals of this radio so that you could not charge using the DC input port. So if you were to find a Yaesu FT-60R, my recommendation is to buy one prior to 2013 on the secondary market. And that's what I did with this unit here. The cool thing going down that approach is that I can take a very simple 5 volt and 12 volt battery bank. This is the Talent cell. And I have a series of connectors here, but I can actually go ahead and connect fairly easily the barrel connector to my 12-volt battery, the adapter, and then plug this into the 12-volt charger. And I can actually now charge up the nickel metal hydride battery. So lots of options for field charging. So I don't know what you guys are doing in the Baofeng community. Let me know. This is what I've come up with for the FT-60R. All right, so let's take a look at another accessory. This is optional if you want to have some capabilities to do digital. I talked about something called APRS, or the Automatic Packet Reporting System, several times on the channel. And while the lesser expensive radios don't have APRS capabilities involved, and that basically gives you the ability to send text messages over the radio, assuming you can get into some infrastructure, the ability to basically work packet modes, which gives you the ability to send email over the WinLink global email system. Basically, you get a handful of digital capabilities. To make that work on the FT-60R, I have found the MobiLink TNC2 and 3 to be fantastic. It's a small little device. You can rubber band it to the back, and then there's a special cable that I also keep in this kit that connects straight up to the 3.5 millimeter jack and then plugs into the MobiLink TNC. So there is the chance that you have an extra cable that could fail. There's a battery here that you need to charge, but the cool thing is I don't have my phone with me, but you could take your phone now, put this on the APRS frequency, and then have the ability to use either the APRS.FI app or the APRS Droid app, and be able to use all of the capabilities of APRS with this radio. And I use this feature a lot when I'm in the backcountry and I don't have cell service. I know that there's a station I can get to when I'm on a ridgeline about 40 miles from my location, and I can quite literally send a text message to my wife, and it works really great. This basically will Bluetooth pair to your phone, and then you can do all of those digital operations on your phone. So that's a video for another time. Like I said, I've got a few playlists out there I'll share with you guys. But another cool accessory for the FT-60R. Oh, one other thing too, I just love this antenna. My kit also has the BNC antenna coiled up on itself, so the ability to have a high gain antenna is much preferred to the little rubber ducky that it comes with, which also fits in this pouch. All right guys, just one more comment on a feature I don't care for. The Yaesu FT-60R does not have a Vox circuit, and all that means is the ability when audio is heard, it will automatically engage the push to talk or the transmit button. Now the Baofeng UV5R does have it, and it makes something like the BTEC cable very easy to connect directly to your phone. So that's why we have to use this little device, is that this actually has the Vox circuit built into it, whereas the Baofeng, you just use the Vox on its radio, and it has a single cable that connects from radio to your device, whether it's a laptop or a smartphone. So can't win them all, but that's the state of things. I do have a solution I'm working on to do a single cable interface, but that's probably gonna be a video in a month or two. All right guys, if you're still with me and dealing with my crappy voice here and my coughing, thank you so much. We're gonna talk about the Mars mod, and this is gonna be the point of contention. So like I said, this radio has pretty wide receive, but it only transmits on the amateur radio band. And in an emergency, let's say that you want to be able to talk to those little FRS blister radios, or talk to someone that's on GMRS, or talk to any other frequency that this is able to cover, you can't do that. So there is something called a Mars or a CAP mod you can do, and be able to transmit on the entire band that this radio is capable of receiving and transmitting on. So basically it will turn it into what the older Baofengs could do. The old Baofeng radios could actually transmit on any of these frequencies. So the FRS, GMRS, you name it. So I had looked into joining Army Mars last year, and I'm going to do that probably next year. But basically, it's a partnership between amateur radio operators and the military, whereby you provide they provide you training and you provide services to augment their communications abilities in times of need. Very cool program. It's got a long history. I'll talk about it sometime later. Most of you guys in the service probably used AutoPatch in the 70s through them. So really great stuff. But that's not the point of this video. So the Mars mod basically is a modification you do to this radio to allow you to transmit on all of the bands that this can technically cover, even if it's not legal. So transmitting outside of the amateur radio bands is illegal, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So I'm not going to show you exactly what I did. I watched two videos. One was a great video that helped me with the actual disassembly of the radio. It was fairly straightforward. It really just required a Phillips head screwdriver and a very small, like micro flathead screwdriver to remove some of the retaining screws on the top part of the unit. Now that first video used a technique of desoldering a resistor, and I didn't have a fine enough tip. So I went to a second video where they quite literally removed it with a razor blade. And I did the same thing, and it worked incredibly well. The only problem was after I'd done the modification, it reset all of my memories, but I was able to go ahead and reprogram it afterwards. No big deal. So now I'm able to transmit on every single frequency, including the ones outside of the amateur radio bands. Now this modification will void your warranty for sure, could destroy your radio, so I don't want to be held liable for that. The resistor that you have to scrape off or desolder is very small. So steady hands, solid workspace where your radio doesn't slip is absolutely ideal. Good lighting. I wish I had one of those little like magnifying arms on my glasses. Would have been fantastic, but I didn't. Like I said, I did it safely. I'll show you some close-ups here on the screen, but refer to those other videos. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, let's talk about programming. So I'm going to show you, or not show you, but tell you what I typically program, because I get this question asked a lot. And we're going to start with memories number 1. So I typically program the 2 meter and 440 simplex nationwide calling frequency, just because those are common frequencies you'll find other amateur radio operators. Next I have APRS. So when I pair it with the MobiLink TNC, I'm able to use all of the APRS services at my disposal. Out here in Phoenix, we have a local simplex frequency on 2 meters for the summits on the air. So lots of operators like to scale a peak and basically make contacts. So it's another way for me to know that there are people typically during the day, on the weekends for sure, that could hear me if I needed. The next one is the adventure frequency. This is a newer frequency that's been proposed. Again, it's a simplex frequency. Not many people are using it, but again, there are people that will observe that frequency when going out into the backcountry. The next set of frequencies are local repeaters in my area. I just use the Repeater Book app on my phone and basically manually program all the repeaters within about a 50-mile range of my location. Anything outside that, like I said, it's very easy to find another repeater using the Repeater Book app and then using the front DTMF pad to program a quick repeater. All right, next I like to program all of the packet digipeaters that are in my area. This is helpful for when I have to send an email using, again, the MobiLink TNC, and I can't get to the WinLink station point to point, but I can get to a digipeater and go through that to get to the station I want to talk to, because those digipeaters are typically located on buildings or on mountaintops. Okay, there's going to be some contention here. I have 3 frequencies programmed for the Department of Public Safety for Arizona. They've got 3 for the Phoenix area. I have all 3 programmed, so I can listen to PD, for example, since they're not using P25 encrypted devices yet, and I can also transmit on this frequency. Not going to do it, but in an emergency, I can actually talk directly to dispatch. Comments are gonna go crazy. I don't wanna hear it. I'm not gonna respond. This is how I program my radios. I am a licensed amateur radio operator. I'm not going to transmit, but I do have it programmed, and if needed, yes, it can open up that, that side of the conversation. All right, so next up are the MURS frequencies. Again, I can't transmit on this legally using this amateur radio, but I am looking into MURS for my comms because it has a couple of really cool features. You can do encryption. You don't need a license so long as you have the correct radio. I believe it's Part 90 commercial radios. So I'm actually going to be working with MCOM tools and looking at a couple of MURS radios on the market so that we can do encrypted text, chat, all of that stuff. Next up is the NOAA weather service, so I get weather reports in my area. And then the last 20 or so are all the APRS frequencies and GMRS frequencies. I don't do much with aircraft, so you guys let me know what else I'm missing. I'm happy to add that to my list of things. All right, guys, before we drop off, let's go ahead and talk about one other thing. I love my Yaesu FT-60R, but this radio is way more expensive than the FT-60R. It is submersible. I've dunked this in the pool. My problem with this one, outside of its price, is the batteries are very expensive, and they just seem to run really hot, and programming from the face is very difficult. So if you're asking why I'm not using the FT-60R, it's just too difficult to program, too much money, but I absolutely love the rugged construction. I mean, you can have this basically in the rain all day long and not care. This one you're gonna have to watch out a bit. So video probably turned out a bit longer. I apologize for what I sound. I'm trying to get better, but hopefully you've enjoyed kind of me walking through my FT-60R experience. So I'm the Tech Prepper. Be strong, be safe, and be prepared. Oh, next video, we're doing a CF20 mobile install in the Jeep using the, forget which mount I'm using. Watch it in the next video. But we're gonna be doing some RAM mounts and all kinds of cool goodies to attach all kinds of chingaderas on the Jeep. All right, take it easy, guys.